Hello and welcome to another episode of Overdrinkers. I am the voice inside your head right now, Mike Burdge, and maybe the voice inside your head at other points as well. And today we are going to be talking about one of my personal favorite films. We're going to be talking about Robocop, and I'm here joined today by...
Robert Anderson.
Robert Anderson, it is very good to see you, of Hot Takes fame.
Hot Takes fame and a few other podcasts that we do here.
A few. We have a few. Fast and Furious. We gotta still start getting through that. Yeah.
Well, we gotta get to that. That next one needs to go up soon.
It will.
It will.
So yeah. It's yeah. It's we're waiting so we can kind of roll them out steadily.
Space them out a little
People
bit.
have been asking me. They're like, "When are you gonna do another one of those?" I was like, "That's the one that's killing it.
It's
that's the one."
I think that one's really funny.
All right. This isn't Fast and Furious podcast though.
No,
this is Overdrinkers. So we're gonna be talking about Robocop, and Robocop is directed by Paul Verhoeven
Of Dutch fame.
So
Yes.
for the drinks today, we have decided to have a delicious Dutch beer by the name of Heineken.
I've never heard of Heineken.
Heineken. Green bottle, delicious.
Yes,
yeah.
It is good.
Yeah, very good.
Mm-hmm. Just like Dutch.
Oh,
Just like it.
tastes very Dutch.
Super Dutch.
All right. So yeah, let's just dive in. I've got a lot to say about this movie.
Yes, I've been trying to catch up. Well, this is my first time seeing RoboCop.
Yeah. You are still a newbie in many of the classic films from the 70s and 80s that I'm starting to pick away at.
It's very violently, yes.
Yeah, when we were trying to figure out what to do for Overdrinkers, we went through a lot of stuff, all things that we won't talk about because we've decided to schedule them at later dates with other people too, because certain individual Jack Kolodziejski wants to can't really cough his name.
No, it's tough.
Jack Kolodziejski.
I was thinking today if like an announcer had to announce him, they would just have a hard time screaming that name.
Yeah, I've been saying his name a lot, especially
You're getting
because
good at it.
his brother Jeremy works with us too. So and them being brothers, they have the Kolodziejski last name, so you just kind of say that really fast and kind of skip over a little bit. I can't take credit for that. Jack gave me that advice.
He had to. He had to help.
Hi, Jack.
Out. Hey, Jack.
So yeah, let's jump in. RoboCop. This is RoboCop from 1987, not the 2013 remake.
Yes.
Starring
who gives a shit?
Just
no one cares.
White guy.
Mr. White Man.
They were just like, RoboCop's white, right? So we'll just get some guy to play him.
Samuel Jackson's the villain in that one, though, right? Is he like the main corporate? Who gives?
Well, that's again too. Like it's very hard for me to not only remember that movie, but
saw it,
even
though.
I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it like as soon as it came out in DVD. I didn't go to the theaters for it because RoboCop is one of my favorite movies, and I'm a big defender of the second one too, even though it is very silly. But the first one is it's a tight movie. It's I've been seeing all over the place too, like reading up on past trivia and stuff like that, little things that I'd known about, but I couldn't remember the specifics that I really wanted to talk about. There's a lot of people who say that exact same thing, which is the movie is very tight, that it's got all these little, all the little boxes that you need to check off to be able to make a movie, cinematography, music, all these acting, all these things they work so well together to produce such a great little movie. And you can look at each one specifically an individual and you're just like, wow, that was crafted so perfectly. And yet it fits so nicely with everything else where you can, you're never just like, the acting in it is amazing. Or like the cinematography in that is so awesome. It all just comes together nicely in this nice little story. Very short. It's only an hour and 40 minutes long.
Which I actually really appreciate about the movie. Because I honestly think movies, especially of this nature nowadays, are just way too fucking long.
Yeah.
I don't need a 2.5 hour. Even like all the Avengers movies, which I think this like might fall in the line of like superpowered being film. It's like they're all just take way too long to explain what's going on. Where this movie is just like, it is super tight. Even from a story, even from like a screenwriting perspective. I mean, it has all its beats really in order.
It's just it just knows what it's doing.
It knows what it is.
A lot of people don't understand they take the kind of like excessive 80s violence at face value and they just think that it's another one of these movies, and it's funny that it would come from Orion, who had just released like Terminator, a few years before, and so like it's kind of these two postmodern robot stories that also have these kind of underlying metaphors that they're kind of trying to talk about, whether it's the world, like in Terminator, it more goes towards the, like motherhood and stuff like that, which I'm not going to get into because we got a Terminator one coming up too.
Ooh, really?
Yeah,
nice. I love T1.
Yeah, T1, man, it's good. But Robocop itself has so many different layers of so many different things that it's saying. Because Paul Verhoeven, he also made Total Recall, and he also made Starship Troopers, which is probably the closest thing that he's done to RoboCop with the media manipulation and kind of like war propaganda.
But even just to see it on screen, like some of the costumes, like what the cops wear is very reminiscent of like, because they have like the like almost like foam looking body armor, and even RoboCop's like outfit, like his suit is very similar to like Starship Troopers aesthetically.
Yeah, I love that little purple sheen that he's got that most people don't really notice. When you think of RoboCop, you think blue.
We know what's funny? They had to light him like they would light a car in the scene.
Oh,
because they were trying to light him like they would an actor, and they like lost a lot of their dailies because like there was too much reflection off his suit, so they had to like light him like a car, and I was like, that's so interesting.
That's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, and that's you look at things like with that suit too, like on the technical scale, like that suit was made by what's his face from The Thing, Rob Bottin.
Okay.
Rob Bottin that did the Thing animations and stuff like that, and all the creature effects. He designed the suit, and the suit was designed specifically for Peter Weller, and they had to do it over and over and over again and design this suit. And then Peter Weller got in like a fight with somebody, like a producer, and they fired Peter Weller, and they tried to get Lance Henriksen in.
What's he from?
Lance Henriksen is he's in Terminator. Okay. He's a cop in Terminator. He is probably best known as Bishop in Aliens. He's the android in Aliens that ends up being like the only good android in the Alien franchise. They thought they could get him because he was slender, and they needed somebody slender to be able to fit into this thing.
They talked about doing Arnold Schwarzenegger to be in the suit. Right. And it's like, he's going to look too big.
Right. And Paul Verhoeven wanted his buddy Rutger Hauer to also do it, but they were both just too big.
Yeah.
But the only reason that Peter Weller was still able to keep his job was because they had already spent so much money and time making the suit specifically for Peter Weller that to start over again was just not an option. So then Peter Weller was able to come back in. Mm-hmm. And it was really funny, too, because Paul Verhoeven really liked he's got a quote that I actually wrote down, like specifically the quote is about Paul Verhoeven talking about Peter Weller, who plays RoboCop, who plays Murphy. He says his chin was very good.
Cover it up though.
That's it. Like his bottom mouth, that like the mouth set, that's the only part that you can see.
It's funny that he says that, because if you think about like every Batman needs to have a very defined chin, because that's all you're seeing. And then what's the name of the actor who's in the Dredd remake, the newest Dredd movie?
Carl Urban.
He has the best lower face.
Oh yeah,
for that.
He's got a good one.
He would have also been a great RoboCop. These good lower faced actors. Beautiful.
It's like that classic Batman look. It's like that's what makes RoboCop kind of like this superhero on the cover. You look at him and you're like, oh, that's a superhero.
Yeah.
But it actually, it talks about the film itself, and the character of Alex Murphy speak a lot to all these different things. Like the most obvious one can be, like the dehumanization of oneself through like technology advancement, and that's playing a lot in the movie and in the culture of that world in Detroit that he builds.
I actually wanted to talk about because you mentioned, you kind of prepped me a little bit for this podcast talking about that we're going to be talking a lot about dehumanization and some other like key themes. So I wanted to I wrote down like the actual definition of dehumanization.
Okay.
The process of depriving a person or group of or group of positive human qualities. And I think like the main quality that Alex Murphy, RoboCop, is deprived of is death. That human quality is stripped away from him, and that's kind of like, it's weird how like that finite ending to humanity getting stripped away from someone is like the most dehumanizing thing you could do to an individual, like forcing them to live, which is like almost kind of funny because we see that get a little bit explored because we watch a clip of the 2013 RoboCop, and they kind of like really dive into that angle.
Oh man, yeah, that scene where they take off his his robot suit, and it's just like these like bag lungs, and
He's gross.
They stay on that scene way too long, too long on that. Yeah, that's a very funny scene, but it's like depressingly funny. Like you can't even laugh out loud at it because you're just like, ooh, you guys thought you were doing something deep here, and this is
they painfully
laughable.
Don't understand what RoboCop is. Mm-hmm. They just like don't get it.
Yeah. And it's and like again the technology advancement, the fact that it's technology that's keeping him alive. And the technology that is, in a sense, dehumanizing him is a very easy thing to attribute to nowadays, where everybody's like, get off your phone, and
for sure.
Everybody's like they're kind of becoming disconnected through as more technology becomes available to us to be able to do everyday things. We're slowly losing those opportunities that we would have had. Before that technology was invented, these were opportunities to have to interact with other people, and form like better cultural understandings and stuff like. To quote Chumbawamba, they say at one point in one of their songs, so that you don't have to drive through the wrong part of town, you can just do your shopping from home. And they've got like a great album called What You See Is What You Get. It's a great Chumbawamba album. You need it. It's absolutely amazing. And they talk about all these like things back in like the 90s when they wrote this thing that are like coming to fruition right now.
Relevant today.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where the technology in RoboCop, not just RoboCop himself, but like the technology that we see that's been created, because it's very low tech stuff. Like there's really not a lot of advancement technology wise in Detroit that we see besides RoboCop himself and the Ed 209 and the cars.
It's almost like seeing like in like the Star Wars trilogy how the Rebels like are using like what seems to be low tech in this universe to like make it work. Like obviously RoboCop takes place in the future, correct? But like it's true, everything is low tech except for it seems like money is going less into like consumerism technology. Like people don't have high tech phones or high tech cars. People instead are having high tech like military or police, because even like the police outfits are like a little bit more high tech than we get. I mean, like they have like more bodysuits. People can get shot a bunch. It seems like, whether that's for like 80s blood and gore effects or like practicality, who really knows.
There's like a level, like putting it in Detroit too, which is funny because it was actually shot in Dallas and Pittsburgh. It wasn't shot in Detroit. Really? Yeah. Huh. And what it's like that, having it be Detroit and Detroit being known for what it is, which is just like, it's a very bad city.
Like Gotham with City crime in like real life.
Yeah. It's choosing Detroit to become this like they're trying to turn it into Delta City, which is what they're attempting to do. They're trying and that's where the gentrification aspect of RoboCop comes in. They're trying to take Detroit and turn it into Delta City by cleaning it up and putting what they believe makes it better in there, which is a metaphor for Murphy. They took Murphy and they took away all the things that they didn't like, and they threw in all this technology on top of it and made him RoboCop. Yeah. And made him RoboCop, and they literally call him an urban pacifier. Like they're like, that's what they're calling him going out and stopping crime, is an urban pacifier. So there's this level of gentrification to it that when you don't really see the culture that he's fighting back against. No. Besides that little tiny group of criminals that kill him at the beginning, you see like a rapist, and you see a guy holding up a gas station, and you see a politician who didn't get reelected to another term or something like that, with the when he's got the mayor and everything. I don't think he's actually a politician. No. I just think he wants his job back because he got let go.
But the basic understanding is that crime is on the all-time rise. Because also in the first few scenes that we're at the police station, like everyone's running around like madmen, being like, everything's shit, we're gonna go on strike because it's so bad. So, it's a city in turmoil, and it seems like, they feel as the cops can't really be doing their job either. So what they're going to do is make this, RoboCop. And RoboCop goes out on his first day of patrol, and he, like, takes down, like, 3 crimes.
He's just bing, bang, boom.
Yeah,
he's just done, got that, got this.
Easy. Yep. I think it's interesting that they went with the choice, now we're just getting to, like, the hard fiction of it, but I think it was interesting that they went with the choice to erase his memory. and erase his like identity, being like, this is Robocop. Whereas I feel like it would have been more appealing to the public to be like, we saved this dying cop, Alex Murphy, and now he is the face. It's like it would make the corporation that makes Robocop kind of look really good, that they saved this cop and made it into this.
And I think they do something like that they actually do exactly that in the new one.
Yeah.
And what that is because it's completely different. Again, they don't get it.
They don't get it.
Because this is supposed to be the complete just like evilness of corporations. Like, again, you literally have the teaming up of this dastardly group of criminals and these boardroom execs that are like in charge of everything. Like, that team up is just like, again, that's just like Murphy and Robocop. Like, it's this gigantic connection that they're really trying to say, like, these guys on Wall Street and stuff, like these people that own corporations and that play with millions and millions of dollars like it's nothing,
right,
are just as dangerous as these criminals that are selling cocaine and raping people and murdering cops. They're saying that they're just as bad as them. They're Directive 4. They are immune to the police's reactions and stuff like that. So it's to have these guys up in that boardroom just like middling away, and they don't care about Murphy. They're like, they literally say, I think it was like, we just need like one poor schlub like to volunteer himself, and by volunteer himself they mean get blown away in the line of duty,
right? And
then they've got a perfect guinea pig that they can do this to. So the idea to like completely wipe him clean would be what they want, because they want to militarize it.
It makes sense with narratively, for sure,
right?
And I think, like, to my point before, it's interesting to see that they went with what I just said in the newer one, and it clearly falls on its face, and maybe if anything, like, humanizes. I mean,
they do this whole thing where it's like they can control him, but he thinks that what he's doing is his own
agency,
right? Yeah, and it's so they start to delve into that, and that could have been a good choice if they did it well enough and good enough and really committed to like the metaphors and what it means as an allegory to be using that, but they never do. They just kind of use it like, it's different, so you want to see this one, right? And it's, again, to like having his suit be black is just like, again, they were trying to make it different, but you're like, that's not the Robocop.
Well, I think like, there's like a weird 5 years or so of movies coming out that are like your Transformers, that Robocop remake, the G.I. Joe movies, where just people do not understand the source material and why people really liked it. And I think now we're actually getting into a world of like these kind of movies that are like your John Wicks, your Logans, where it's like people are like, no, we get it. We totally understand what people want from this movie. We know what the core themes of the movies are, and we're not trying to change that. So I think like, if we were to get an actual Robocop movie like right now, it wouldn't be a reboot. I think it would be like, we're doing everything we can to get Peter Weller back in that fucking suit, and we're gonna like have a swan song for that character.
Yeah, Peter Weller, man, he's national treasure.
I love him.
I showed you the trailer for Buckaroo Banzai.
Dude, that movie.
Doesn't that look great? You gotta see that.
I do gotta watch that.
You will love that movie.
I think that's very,
very cheesy. It's very corny, like all on purpose.
It also seems like genuinely like good like comedy writing too.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very smart. It's it was way ahead of its time when it came out, and I mean, I'm fairly certain that it kind of flopped when it came out, but it was like immediate cult status, and it's great. Yeah, I own it on VHS actually.
Ooh, VHS,
very fancy. The other thing, besides Peter Weller, was the other character, Lewis, Nancy Allen.
Yes,
that was really funny that they would pick. Like, it's also too like the guys that play like Dick Jones and the main bad guy, Clarence.
Is that there's the two oh you mean the guy who Red Foreman from
Yeah, that's Clarence. Yeah, he's those two guys were mainly known for like nice guy roles at this point. They were known for like kind of just playing like nice guys, like comedic things, and they made them like super bad guys, and that was Paul Verhoeven's choice. And Nancy Allen too, up till that point, was a big like De Palma regular. She was in Carrie, she was in Blowout, she was in Dressed to Kill, and she always played this kind of like sexy, just like object to kind of move the plot, or like to have like as some kind of wall for a certain character to either get over or embrace. And I think the idea of taking Nancy Allen at that point and turning her into this like completely desexualized cop.
Well, that's
it is like there's no love story that grows between Lewis and,
you almost think there
Murphy.
could be, but
besides,
it's not.
it's more partners. It's familial. It's like there's no like romantic, and
it's much more Lethal Weapon.
Right,
Murtaugh
absolutely,
and Donald Glover.
Yeah, and it's like almost the fact of
Danny
Lewis
Glover.
being a woman is almost completely irrelevant. Besides the fact that her being a woman is so potent to their partnership, because I mean, when we first see Lewis, she's everybody's trying to stop that one dude in the police station who's like there's a criminal in there. He's throwing everybody left and right.
She takes him out,
and
right?
She gets thrown where her head goes into the lap of a man waiting in the waiting room, and she turns back from that like stature, that kind of like that place to be in a man's lap, and she turns and then beats the shit out of this guy, while there is a sign in the background that says "No babies," and it's a picture of a mother holding a baby with the big "No" banner around it. And that's her beating the shit out of this guy, and that's our introduction to her. And then immediately Murphy and Lewis have like this chemistry that just connects, where they're just like they're buds.
There's buddies,
and they're just
for
like,
sure.
I'm gonna drive. No, I always like to drive when I'm breaking in a new partner.
That was the director. I read a quote that was one of the director's intent of, especially like giving her the short haircut, was like the beginning of him like really trying to, because I think the character was already written to be desexualized, but then like he gave her like the short haircut, and like he made her cut her hair shorter and shorter to like continually try and like desexualize that character. And it makes sense that considering her previous roles, which I did not know too much about, that they would really have to like separate her from kind of her career.
Right. I mean, I would say probably people going in 1987 probably recognized her most from Carrie as like that kind of like nasty girl who was like, the popular girl at school, and she's the one that puts together the whole plan to like drop the pig's blood on Carrie. Spoiler alert. Ooh. They drop pig's blood on Carrie, and then shit goes down.
Everyone knows that part about Carrie.
Yeah, and
I've never seen it, but I know that's like the crux of it. And, and it takes place like prom.
Yep, yeah. That's it. That's Carrie. You just wrote Carrie.
I'm so good at this.
and it's really funny that like with Robocop and the technology that they talk about, like you can see aspects of that from like, you can tell like like it was like this kind of like Metropolis is in there, like Fritz Lang, and there's like this kind of Blade Runner feel to it.
I also get a lot of it's funny, I felt a lot of like American Psycho in this movie.
Oh yeah?
Just because like the boardroom setting, and to see like the suits in control, and like they're sociopaths.
Right, and
they're
it's
crazy
like Wall
people.
Street had just come out that year as well. So this was like a big thing. This was Reagan era fascism, like that they were commenting on. That's like, there's a great story about Orion Pictures released they paid Nixon, President Nixon.
Is this the picture that you showed me before? They paid him
$25,000 that I guess he donated to like the Boys Club of America or something. I have no
bullshit.
Something. But they paid Nixon $25,000 to shake RoboCop's hand. And I don't believe it was Peter Weller. I think it was just somebody in a RoboCop, really bad RoboCop.
It looked
costume.
terrible.
It looks horrible. There's a picture that you can look up. Just look up Nixon RoboCop. And there's this picture. Nixon is just like looking at RoboCop with just this bewilderment. And between seeing that picture and knowing that story, and seeing like the Elvis and Nixon movie from last year with Kevin Spacey and Michael Shannon, it's a great movie. Yeah. But like, I'm getting this picture more and more of Nixon as just kind of like this childlike doofus.
Well, that's what it seems like. He's just a big fucking idiot.
He's just a big idiot, right?
Who's like a puppet master, not too unlike our current like political standard.
Right, and that's like, well, that's like everything that's happening right now with like anti-Semitism and like the obvious like points of fascism that are trying to be placed into our country right now. Yeah, you start making the connections to World War II and the events prior to that with Germany and the Nazis, and you start realizing like, were the Nazis just a bunch of fucking idiots, and they just got lucky? Like, they got all the idiots together? And that's not to say anybody that's, on the opposite side of me with what's going on in America right now is an idiot. No. Lord knows we don't need to distance our viewers and listeners any more than now. But there's just this, like, they're a bunch it's like, they're fucking idiots.
They're fucking idiots, yeah.
And you look at Nixon and you're just like, was this guy just he just seems so... This picture of Nixon and Robocop
It's silly.
so... He looks like... Robocop, I don't even think had come out yet. It wasn't a thing. Robocop wasn't based on a comic book.
No.
It was its own thing. It hadn't become a culture icon. And he's looking at
shopped it
Robocop
around
just like,
for, what,
it's
5
a man in a
years?
robot suit.
I love it.
He looks ridiculous.
Yeah. It's silly to see. When you showed me that picture, I was like, fucking... I was confused. I was like, this doesn't even make sense, like, in the time period, I don't think. Because, like, Robocop came out in 1987, right?
87, yeah.
Yeah, so...
And so, like, they obviously, I think it was written all the way back. I guess I think
in 1980 it was written.
Yeah,
and they were shopping
writing
it,
and they were like
years.
pushing it around, and yeah, and I guess like right after Terminator came out, it was that's like when the script was finished or something like that.
Maybe
they said something along those lines because they didn't want to, and that's the whole thing with Terminator and RoboCop coming out and these technology and everything, and it's the idea we were saying that like Metropolis had a big play in it, and probably The Day the Earth Stood Still with that robot, you know, because like just it's really funny how a lot of the commentary on what it means to be a cyborg, a cybernetic organism, a lot of the things they touch on in RoboCop really transcend into all the other things. You know, Blade Runner was before, so there was the replicants before that. Okay. And then you get things like Cylons and Battlestar Galactica afterwards.
Yeah, because I don't think the what's the name of the model of like Terminator that Arnold Schwarzenegger is in that movie?
He's a T-100.
It's a T-100. He's not really he's like not really a cyborg though, because to my understanding, a cyborg is someone who's like both has human element, like has like human body parts or organs somewhere in there, and then has machine bits in there as well. So like RoboCop's like seems to be a true cyborg.
Yeah, he's a cyborg.
He's a cyborg.
He's an enhanced like
he's an enhanced
organism.
being.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Whereas Arnold Schwarzenegger, or the Terminator, is kind of just a humanoid robot.
Yeah, he's a robot that like has been given human features, and they've got like fake skin on him that decays after a while. Yeah. And that's like the same thing with like Cylons and the Borg. The Borg. That's the Borg.
I have not seen it.
The Borg. From Star Trek? The Borg?
I've seen... You're doing this to me right now. I've seen only the rebooted Star Trek movies. I was never a Star Trek person. There's a lot of people who are not Star Trek folk. Okay.
Moving on. We're gonna go on to.
You ever hear they really were?
Why don't we talk about something that you have actually fucking seen?
I want to talk about how they people have been clamoring for, apparently since this movie came out, to do a Terminator versus RoboCop movie.
There's a video game.
Is there a video game?
There's a video game, and I think in the video game, it's not RoboCop versus Terminator. I think that's what it's called, but it's more, it's your RoboCop and you're just like killing a bunch of Terminators, which is the natural way that you would do that, right? That
makes sense.
Yeah, if you're going to play a Predator versus Aliens game, you're going to make it where you're a Predator and you're killing a bunch of aliens. Yeah, you're not really going to do it the other way.
Well, because then it's just a fight. You're just fighting one person.
Right, and that's like, that's not a game.
I mean, maybe now you can, because games are smart, but back then, no way.
No. Well, I mean, once we've talked about what's like a good video game movie.
Oh, Zero. Right?
What?
There's zero. There's none.
I don't. Yeah. Well, I don't think that there's none. There's got to be an argument for. Like, I'm a big fan of the first Resident Evil movie, but that is not a Resident Evil movie.
Really, yeah.
Like, they just gave it that name. Yeah. And it's really funny now how Resident Evil, when you think of that, when most people hear Resident Evil, they think of the Mia Jovovich movie series. They don't really think of the video game series anymore, which is still going.
They just came out with a new one in February. It's supposed to be really good.
I bet you it's great. Yeah, I haven't played it bad, but I played one bad one. It's that one though where they changed everything up, where it's first person and it's not like a story structure kind of thing. I don't even know. It's really weird.
I mean, 4 is really the last like true blood, like real Resident Evil game, and then 5 gets a little weird.
5 was the one that was in like South Africa or something.
But it's like a little too like. It's using these control, like, you can't... What's cool in, like, Resident Evil 4 is that you can't run and shoot at the same time. You have to be stationary to shoot. But they give you only 2 or 3 enemies at a time. They don't overwhelm you with enemies, so it makes sense, and it's scary because you're in, like, corridors. they have the same control scheme in Resident Evil 5, but they overwhelm you with enemies, and you're in open areas. So it's like, why can't I run and shoot? Just let me do that.
And that's funny too, because the Robocop really does kind of introduce that idea of the first person shooter kind of thing, like with that virtual, where we see it through his eyes. A lot of the movie we see through
I mean, at that
Murphy's
point, we might
eyes.
already have like Doom and games like that out. I'm not really sure.
Right, there might have been, but I don't think so. In 87?
It might be, that could be pre, for sure.
I don't know, yeah. I think that's
you're
pre.
probably right.
Like that, the idea that
he has the
I was talking to a buddy about it, and he mentioned the heads up system.
Right.
And
the
he's
HUD
like,
display.
that's right there. Like that's
Terminator,
in full
Terminator
effect.
also, he has like the red look where you can also like kind of ID people and be like, you're Sarah Connor. Yeah.
And I'd say, but it's again like the Terminator's a bad guy.
Yes, RoboCop is a good guy.
RoboCop is a good guy, and that's like you have to create like that moral ground of like the first person shooter. Otherwise, you're just like shooting absolutely everybody and doing all this crazy stuff. And I think that's where it being like, because we always put ourselves in the shoes of the hero, especially back then. We weren't really like, nobody wanted to be the Terminator.
No.
I mean, maybe
nowadays.
And now after Terminator 2, and he's got the leather jacket and the black glasses, totally people want to be that.
The anti-hero story is way more prominent now than it's ever been before. You know, people are down to learn more about villains. If someone's just like standalone Magneto movie, one of us pull our dicks out for that.
Right, and
is
it's
that what
like
people do when they like movies. They pull
they pull the dicks out.
They pull the dicks out.
They pull the dicks out. HUD. Pulling their HUDs out.
Pulling the HUDs out.
But that's funny because RoboCop really does kind of take these anti-hero movies, like it's that, like we were talking about the excessive violence of like these 80s movies, and that's very much like Dirty Harry and Death Wish, movies you haven't seen. All those. It's like, it's very much like that kind of gratuitous, over the top,
violence.
One man against this group of criminals that wronged him. It's you need to definitely check out Dirty Harry.
Yeah,
that first Dirty Harry.
Well, apparently they were going to call this movie was it Dirty Herring with ball bearings? Dirty Harry with ball bearings, and then they were like, oh, we can't because we'll get sued.
Wait, that's not a real thing.
That was going to be a slogan for Robocop.
Oh, okay, a slogan. They weren't going to call it
no.
Dirty Harry with ball bearings.
Yeah, well, it has a nice
that classic 1987 film.
We'll be talking about it today.
Dirty Harry with ball bearings.
It's funny.
Stop it. And that's funny. Then they kind of like took that kind of Dirty Harry, Death Wish-esque kind of stuff and kind of mashed it together with like Blade Runner.
It's very
robots and like, and a kind of Spider-Man kind of like with great power comes great responsibility kind of stuff.
I mean, it's very cyberpunky as well, like aesthetically, because it's very
great bad
dirty.
Guys too.
What was that?
Great bad guys, great lines.
Oh my god! Well, I wish I knew his name. Red Foreman from that
Clarence.
show. Clarence. He is such a good fucking bad guy.
He's a great bad guy.
He's so good. The
Tigers are playing nights.
It's weird that so many of our like superhero movies today just fuck villains up so hard.
Yeah,
where it's like you just gotta make them really sassy.
I was talking about it with my friend the other day, and we got down to the fact where like the only good Marvel villain so far has been Dave Brühl. As Zemo in Civil War.
He's great.
It's a great villain, and it's so understated.
If he was just more of a douchebag, I would
but he fucked them up. Yeah, like it's great. Like he did more damage to them, and I'm not saying that like it's an obvious thing. He has a whole speech where he explains that he does that.
Yeah,
but in truth, like he fucks them up more than like
because he's trying to create. He's trying to create chaos. He's more similar to like the Joker than any like character that's been in like mainstream,
and that's
like,
really
cinema,
that was
like
their
that.
kind of
or
attempt at like the Joker kind of stuff, like working things like a calculated, calm, patient.
He's doing psychological torment to our heroes that happens to have huge stakes physically as well.
I also like to bitches leave. One of my favorite lines from a movie when Clarence walks in to douchebag McGee's house to kill him, and he starts like shooting him in the legs and everything like that. And he's got those two like girls that he's like sleeping with. They're like vice president. It just the way it sounds. It sounds so good. Yeah, he comes in and he's like, bitches leave, and it's just like it's one of those detestable phrases that just makes you automatically go like, I like to hate this guy. Yeah. And he pulls that off so good, and all the way all the villains die with like
so good.
with Dipshit McGee, who's Dipshit McGee, Douchebag McGee, Dumbass McGee.
All the McGees.
Dipshit McGee is the bald dude with the bike who like tries to rob the gas station and gets caught first.
Oh, but he
drives into that toxic waste.
Yeah, he has a shitty ponytail thing.
Yeah, that's what he's got going on.
He has a weird facial hair.
Yeah, and he gets in the toxic waste, and that noise.
I was just like, whoever decided to do this to this character was just like, we don't have to do this at all. We could have just killed him.
No.
We could have just made him melt it. It's like, we're going to make him look disgusting.
I've watched this so much. Like,
it's so good.
I have such a weird history with this movie, too, because I used to watch this movie back in, like, it had to be, like, 1991. I was born in 86. So this movie came out a year after
You're too young. See,
I was way too young to really understand what was going on, but my parents like let me watch whatever I wanted, and whenever they saw something coming up, they were just like, oh hold on, and they would just cover my eyes but not understand that I can hear it.
And that noise,
so I'd be like,
noise
that noise is in my head. And I remember the first time I finally got to see what was going on, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And when the car hits him and he just explodes like water balloon, like a water balloon.
It's disgusting.
I love it.
It's
and
so
earlier
good.
on in the movie, he's smoking a cigarette, somebody's like, don't you know that stuff will kill you? And you're like, oh, this is like an obvious setup, like he's going to catch on fire or something later, or something like that. No, we're going to drive him into a big tub of toxic waste. What is this factory that they're at that they've got a gigantic drum of toxic waste?
I don't know. Where's the Joker turned to the Joker? They go to the acid factory.
They go to the acid. The acid factory.
The acid
Acme
factory.
acid
all
factory.
of the acid here, and they just put people in there so they turn
It's
gross.
You guys want to put covers on these things? You want to put like so nobody can fall into them
leave them open.
and become like supervillains?
Leave them open.
Okay.
No, leave them open. They're good this way. It's good for the air.
And that ending too is so good.
I love that last scene.
Ending, man.
That last scene in the dirty water, and like they have like the bazooka sniper rifles.
The bazooka rifle that he allows him to take down Ed 209, which is great. Yeah. Also too, but I love in the beginning when or I guess it's more towards the end, but before he gets to the factory when Robocop first goes to kill Dick Jones. He gets the shit kicked out of him, and then he ends up.
This is when they do the Directive 4. It's like, you can't fuck with us.
Yeah, Directive 4, and then Ed 209 gets turned on him, and the way that he escapes Ed 209, stairs.
That's true.
Stairs beat Ed 209.
Yeah,
and that's the only reason that he escapes, and then he goes into, he has his kind of. Betrayal moment where like everybody that he's been protecting does the exact same thing to him that happened before. They all start shooting him and shooting him out. Yeah,
it's a great scene because they're like, he's one of us, and they're like, no,
he's not.
No, he's not. Which makes sense. I kind of almost thought that the cops would have like almost like more animosity to him because it's kind of like the way I saw it is like
I think the cops do have animosity to him. It's the people that worked with Murphy in his district that see him when he comes in.
But they don't know he's Murphy yet.
No, I guess that's true. They don't. But I guess it's the people that he's worked with in his
Ann Lewis
division.
only figures out he's Murphy kind of towards the end of the movie. Or like maybe like in the middle-ish. I can't really remember. But she seems to be the only person that like really figures it out till the end. And then he's just like, who are you? He's like, I'm Murphy.
That's a great ending, too.
It's so good.
It's like, that's just like...
At first I thought it was abrupt, and then I was like,
shooting,
no, it's good.
son.
Yeah, or something like that.
And that guy's name is just the old man.
Is that true?
I think so. I don't think he has a character name. I was trying to remember his name, and I think they just call him the old man the whole time. This old geezer.
As someone who's seen this movie for the first time in the year of 2017, the scene where he's escaping the bipedal tank android, or just robot, and they're like in the staircase where it falls down and gets fucked over. That scene is hard to watch. Yeah, it's so
with the stop motion.
It's so janky, dude.
Yeah, it's a little janky. Yeah.
And then when they cut back to Robocop, like it's at a weird angle because like I guess he can't like look up. Really, you know. So it's just
like they're having the same problems with like the Batman cowl from like the Tim Burton Batmans, where it's just like, I can't turn my neck.
Can't do it.
Well, we already designed it. Let's go. Keep going. That's funny too. His thing, like that took whenever you see him with his helmet off, it took hours. We're talking like 6 hours to do that, and then like another 2 hours just to get the suit on. Yeah. So it's like 8 hours, and then all of a sudden they're shooting.
The first time they put on the suit, they said it took 11 hours to fit, and the first few days of shooting, Peter Weller was losing 3 pounds a day.
I knew that one.
From
Yeah,
sweating.
it was like 100 degrees or something like that, and and they had like personal assistants with like fans.
They said they installed an air conditioner. So like, who even fucking knows how that works in the 80s?
Oh my goodness!
I don't even know how to put an air conditioner in my window. I'm assuming it's easy.
You don't know how to put an air conditioner in your window.
You just stick it in.
You just got to put it in there.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
They open.
The window's open.
The window's open.
Yeah.
You know how to do that.
They go up.
They go up.
Yeah.
Or down, depending on what kind of window it is.
Don't confuse me.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you'll figure it out.
I'll get there.
It'll get hot enough.
We just got a bunch of. You get hot enough.
You'll get hot enough. You'll figure it out.
You'll know.
Yeah. So I guess we could talk about the Christ allegory.
Yeah,
which is very loose.
It's there.
It's definitely there, and like the director Paul Verhoeven actually even said
says,
himself, it's very like he wanted to make like an American Jesus,
which you could take that as. I mean, it's a negative connotation though, because it's a Jesus that is reborn through corporate America to this non-consenting character. Mm-hmm. So it does not paint, to call him American Jesus does not paint America in the best of lights, which I mean this movie isn't really trying to do either. Yeah,
well, and there's been tons of versions of like the American Jesus kind of allegory though. Like there's a great comic book that they've been trying to make into a movie for a while called Chosen by Mark Millar. Mark Millar, guy that wrote like Wanted and
did he do Kick-Ass? Mark Millar.
Yes, he did.
Kick-Ass, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
and he also did Frank Miller or Mark Miller do Dark Knight Returns?
Frank Miller
did that.
Frank Miller also wrote
many Millers.
Robocop 2 and Robocop 3.
Too many Millers in the comic book industry.
Mm-hmm. And that's you should definitely watch Robocop 2. I'll let you borrow it.
Robocop 2,
because Robocop 2 is like an extension of this. Like the strike that's hinted at in this movie, like they go on strike in the second one, and
this movie seems to also like, because this movie Robocop 1 is a comedy.
There's
Satire. It's satire. Whereas Robocop 2 seems to be like, okay, this is like, you like really get it now. Like this is gonna be, we're gonna take all like the hidden elements, kind of blow those up a little bit. Mm-hmm. They're opening the onion,
right? And it's like that. He walks on water at the end. Yeah. And
but I think he's more of a corporate American Jesus,
right?
Because he's made by a corporation, which I said before. But and he's not. He's, instead of upholding a scripture, he upholds the law, which is like a very, ambiguous thing in itself. That's supposed to be very concrete.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's obviously him getting nailed to the cross is him getting his ligaments blown off.
Yep.
His head of thorns getting shot in the head.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things I really like, I actually think it's kind of fucking stupid that I noticed in the 2013 Robocop was that remember when they're putting together Robocop in Robo 1?
Uh-huh.
And they're like, oh, we could keep the left arm. The left arm's good. And they're like, get rid of fuck that.
Yeah.
He has his left hand.
Yeah. I don't know why they did that. Reason. Well, I think it's because they wanted him to just have a hand because they liked the way that looked.
I think they also just thought they're like, oh, we understand Robocop. Yeah. We're smart.
I mean, I think I can try and understand why they did it. It still doesn't make it a fucking good idea.
No, absolutely not. It's better because, it speaks to how cynical and sociopathic corporate America is. Mm-hmm. When they're just like, hey, we have this like human part of him that's still good. His dick still works. It's like, get rid of the dick.
Get rid of the dick.
Get rid of the dick. We don't need that.
Hashtag feminism. Get rid of the dick. We don't need it.
Feminism
He's a Robocop, not a Robo-Man.
No, he can't fuck. Only holds the law. The dick of the law.
There's no scripture here. This is the law.
This is it.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much everything I want to go over. I mean, the violence and stuff, we kind of like touched on that back and forth. The X, it got an X rating tons of times. I guess they had to go through like 12.
I think it was like
different things.
It was a ridiculous amount.
It was a lot of times they had to go through
MPAA. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's funny because it's just like the violence is what makes it so comical.
It's so silly.
Yeah, like obviously when Murphy's getting slaughtered in the beginning, that's not funny. It's actually quite devastating. It's very specific. You're in there. You are up close with all this stuff. And Clarence has that great line where like, cops don't like me, so I don't like cops. It's great. It like he's got some just great lines.
But he's doing like the weird. That scene is ripe for like dissecting. When he's doing like the do, and he's like doing his own little tracky thing, targeting system on him. It's very cool.
Very cool. Like
it's cool. Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people mean, and I mean when I say like this movie is so tight. It's just jam packed with so much little tiny stuff that you can pay attention to.
All the seeds are there.
You're just like, dude, this is absolutely crazy.
I wish I got to watch it a second time before doing this, but I still think like it's still a good conversation about it. It's still fun.
I mean, this doesn't suck.
No, I hope not. But just watching the movie first and kind of like only understanding it at like face value, and then kind of doing the research and now like talking to you a little bit, it's like, yeah, this movie is like so smart, and like you can understand why it made a splash with like casual moviegoers, because it's like it serves, especially I'm sure in 1987, as a brilliant action movie. Like it has all the stunts and all the cool shit in there, and then also there's like a lot of like satire subtext. Apparently it was the director's wife that convinced him to make Robocop, because he read through the first 12 pages.
I've heard about that with the script.
Throw it out, and then
because he didn't get it.
And then she read it. She was just like, "No, it's a satire, dude. Like you got to like finish it." And he's like, "Oh, I'm from Dutch.
Nice shooting, son.
Nice shooting, son."
Well, Robbie, thank you so much for joining me on this pleasant afternoon and discussing one of my favorite movies, Robocop.
It's been a pleasure. I had a good time. I now understand your brain a little better.
Yeah, this definitely has like
it's terrifying.
Yeah, my brain is essentially a mixture of Back to the Future, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Robocop, like just constantly battling,
fighting for
control over everything.
Yeah, it's just the Hobbit remakes over and over again. No, I don't like those. I've never seen those either. I have no desire to see the Hobbit remakes. Dear listener. Have you seen them? Do you like them?
I'm just going to let you keep...
Did you like them?
The Hobbit movies?
Yeah.
I'd like the first one okay, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't really remember them. I saw them once. That last one is fucking horrendous.
Real bad?
It's very bad movie. Very bad movie. Fun, I guess, if I'm trying to be nice, but I can't even like muster... doing that.
No one's. I'm not putting a gun to your head.
Yeah, no, that was.
I'm not gonna make you do that.
I remember I saw that. I was like, he didn't win an Academy Award for that one.
Nope.
Nope.
No.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, dear listener, and stay tuned for some more episodes of Overdrinkers, as well as a bunch of other great podcasts coming. I know we got some hot takes coming up because there's some good movies coming out in March.
Trying to get Kong, trying to get Beauty and the Beast in the pipeline. Working on it. We had a big snowstorm, Mike.
But big New York snowstorm, big blizzard.
Yeah, I had to buy sled dogs to get me to your house.
Yeah?
Yeah. They're waiting outside.
Oh.
They're chilling.
They've been outside this whole time?
Well, it's only been, 47 minutes, 29 seconds?
Yeah, we got to get you out to those dogs. All right.
They're fine.
Thank you again for listening. Check in again.
Bye. I'm gonna Robocop. Robocop.
And you could be a Robocop.
He's an allegory for Jesus Christ and corporate America. Let's get into it.